By the end of this video, you should be able to create these reports. So if you see the first one, executive summary, so you should be able to see the revenue trend, then the metrics table, the map of India, then the secondary sales, then state-wise current year versus primary sales, all those things. Then you can select a particular salesman, and then everything will change accordingly. And then you can see in the map, it shows Bihar. And then if you select something else, and it will toggle everything else as well. If you go to product analysis, then you should be able to see the product wise sales analysis, month wise number of units sold. You will see over here, this is not related to your filter, and all the SKUs are different, like number of SKUs, number of units sold, average selling price, number of brands, and then these category wise sales analysis, and then primary sales versus category wise versus brand, and the scatter plot as well. And finally, working on ASM analysis and distributor analysis, you will be able to work on decomposition tree, and then understanding how the salesmen are doing, ASM versus the RSM, ASO, all those kind of analysis can be done over here. So this will be the objective of this video. So let's go ahead. All right. So in order to create Power BI report, you need just 5 steps. And these are the 5 essential steps that you will use every time whenever you're working on Power BI projects. So first step would be getting your data. So get data. So there is a button. You can get data from Excel or any other data source. In today's demo, we will use Excel files. And once you have fetched the data, it will go in Power Query. So in Power Query, the magic happens. It is cleaned and reshaped. So your data is raw. If you want to clean it, if you want to manipulate, or you want to slice, dice, whatever, it can be done in Power Query. So once you are satisfied with your data, then you can put that data into data model that resides inside the semantic model. And this is where you have all the tables like dimension tables, fact tables when you're working on star schema or other things. We will cover everything in this video, so stay tuned. So once you have built your data model, and then you will create some of the formulas, because you won't have all the functions formulas. For example, if you're working on FMCG Sales Dashboard, you might not have formula for primary sales or secondary sales. So you need to create a formula, right? And that is where you need DAX. DAX is the language that is understood by Power BI, and we will go through this as well. And finally, once you're done with your formulas, then you will go to the reporting page, and this is where you will do visualizations, building, and share. So once you're happy with building your visualizations, you can share across with your colleagues or consume yourself as well. So these are predominantly 5 steps that each and every Power BI developer uses. So this is how you will remember what all you have to do. And for all these 5 steps, we will understand all these things. So for the starters, we will understand what is Power BI, and then we will install it. Then we will understand our data for today's video, FMCG concepts. And then we will talk about pivot tables in Excel, why we should not do that if we want to create reports. And then we will start with get data. So get data over here is this part. So once we get the data, and then we will go for Power Query. And again, this Power Query is this Power Query. And then we will work on data modeling, that is this part. And then we will talk about DAX foundations, that is this part. And then once we are happy with all the things, then finally we will build our 3 pages. And this is what visualization is. So this is like 5-step approach, and we will complete everything in this video. So you don't have to go anywhere else. If you're new, if you're a beginner in Power BI and you are stuck what exactly you need to do, just follow this complete video till the end. I will explain you step by step, and then I will give you portfolio, data set, and complete project as well, so that you can attach that in your resumes. All right, so let's get started. All right, so first of all, we will start with what is Power BI. So we will explain Power BI, and we will try to install that and understand all these parts. So first of all, let's try to install Power BI. So if you go to, for example, let's go from scratch, go to google.com or anywhere on the browser, type in download Power BI desktop. That's it. And then you should receive this as your first link, or you can click here, Microsoft's website. And once you click there, then in the the language you're happy with. English is default, and you can see over here which version it is and date published. So it is fairly new and we are happy with that. So click on download. So once you click on download, and then it will be pretty much basic the way you install every other app. So once you install the app, so you should be able to look for Power BI desktop icon like this, right? So once you have this installed, just click on this and then you should be able to get this interface. So this is the first interface on Power BI desktop. And first of all, let's try to understand the ribbon part on the top. So you will see there is home, then there is insert, modeling, view, optimize, help, external tools. And then inside home, as you can see, this is highlighted, you will see get data, Excel workbook. So predominantly this section is all about data. And then this section is about queries and this section is about visuals, all those, right? So now, first thing, which is very important. So over here, as you can see, get data, this is where you insert data from. So it can be from Excel file, it can be from semantic model. You don't need to worry about this right now. You don't need to worry about these things. So very important part. So if you have CSV files or you have Excel files, you can select this and then link it through wherever the file is located, right? So once you have attached that file, then it will automatically come in Power Query, and then you can go to transform data, and then it is fairly straightforward from there. So we will see this with our data set, how it works. But let me tell you the interface further. On the right hand side, you can see this is built. So these are all the native visuals which are there in Power BI. So this is like a stacked bar chart, this is column chart, this is clustered bar chart, then you have pie chart, donut chart, then scattered chart, then this is line chart, then this is map, right? So we have various options, like this is slicer, like filter, this is my table matrix, then you have this decomposition tree. So you have many options how you can create that. So we will do that step by step. Now on the left hand side, this is also interesting. There would be 5 icons. Very important part is first, second, and third for now. So first icon is report view, as you can see over here on the tooltip. So report view is, it will show you whatever you have built. You will have multiple pages. You can see page 1, then page 2 you can add, page 3. So you can add multiple pages, right? And then if you see the second icon, that is table view, this is where you will see all the tables which are added in this model. So currently this is blank. You can see it says you haven't loaded any data, so get data. So this is all blank for now. And third is model view, very important part. This is where you will see the diagram, the relationship between various tables, right? So this is the area where you will see all the relationships, and then you will see the list of all the tables, how they are connected, all those things. So these are predominantly 3 most important icons. And then if I go back to report view, and then this part right inside, so this is data. So once you have data, it will show over here. This is your build. So this is, if you remove that, so you will not be able to see all these visuals. So it's like you can toggle it on off depending on the area, the way you want to work. So if I toggle it off, it won't be shown. If I toggle it on, it will be shown. And then this is a format. So if I click here, so it will give you all the details. So if I want to change the page size, I want to change the background. For example, if I see page information, you can change the name of this. Then if I go to canvas setting, I can change the size of this or type, if I want to go for tooltip or letter, whatever. And then if you want to change the background of this, you can go to Canva background, and then let's say you want to change it to light blue, you can change it to light blue. So depending on how you want to go, you can go ahead with this part. All right, so now enough of understanding the basic interface. So if I go back here, we have understood Power BI. So Power BI is a business intelligence tool from Microsoft. This is in competition with Tableau, ClickSense, and Looker from Google, all those things. But in my opinion, Power BI is far more superior in terms of usability, in terms of adaptation in the market, because this is in Microsoft ecosystem. Most of the companies uses Microsoft products, so it is easier for them to adapt with Power BI. Right? It doesn't mean Power BI is the best, or because I have seen Tableau has amazing capabilities, but in my opinion, if you're learning new, go with Power BI because you will have more job opportunities with Power BI. And then now the question is desktop versus service versus mobile. Very easy. So I explained you desktop. This is a version where you do development. So if you are a Power BI developer, you will go with desktop. If you are a business user and you are not developing in Power BI report, you are just going directly to service. That is app.powerbi.com. So this is the page where you will have all the reports once you have built that. And then mobile is straightforward. Whatever you have built, if you want to see it on mobile, so there is a different version of that. So fairly straightforward. I've explained you report, table, and model, 3 views. Now we have installed and downloaded. That's fine. Now, in terms of UI tour, ribbon, we have understood fields, visualization, and filters. And anyways, whatever is remaining, once we are building the report, you will understand step by step. All right, so going to step number 2, understanding your data. So once we understand data, then we can straight away push to Power BI. Right, so if you have reached so far, I believe this channel will be very helpful for you. So I create videos related to Power BI, Microsoft Fabric, how AI can be used to create Power BI reports, and all the things related to Power BI. So please do subscribe to this channel so that I can make such videos without any challenge. And secondly, if you are looking for jobs, so this is a website which I built, firstdatajob.com. This is like a aggregator which provides jobs from various other portals and at one place. And this is amazing place where you can upload your resume, and according to your resume, it will shortlist and provide you all the jobs which are 100% relevant to you, and then you can apply directly. Other things are you can upskill yourself in terms of SQL, Power BI, all those things. It's all free, so you can go ahead and check that as well. And apart from that, just you can look for the playlists such as Power BI playlist. And for you, the most relevant would be Power Query, where you can do cleaning and manipulation of your data, and then FMCG sales interview, and then various things related to FMCG. And this one is related to Power BI visualization. So, I mean, it will have all the content, which is all free. So you can grab and see how it goes. All right. So coming back to today's video. Right, so now we are on Excel file. We have primary sales, as you can see from the sheet name. So we have date column, month column, invoice, distributor code, distributor name, zone, state, city, RSM name, ASM name, SO, SKU level. And then if we scroll further right, you will see category, brand, SKU, package. So all those things, we have all the columns. So very important question, what is primary sales? So if you are a sales manager, if you're working in FMCG, you would be knowing all these KPIs. I'll explain you again. And then again, we have different sheet for secondary sales. Then we have targets. So in targets, we have month-wise target, ASM wise targets, category wise targets. And then target is primary as well as secondary. And then we have product master. So each and every SKU, what is the category, brand, SKU name, what is a package, then MRP, units per case, PTR, PTS, all those things. So now coming to the definition. So if you see over here, what is primary sales? Primary sales is the sale which happens from company to distributor billing. So whatever billing the company does with the distributor, whatever dispatch is happening from the manufacturing unit, from the warehouse to distributor, that is the primary sale. So this is the core sales revenue that we see in their profit and loss statement, right? And then comes secondary sales. Secondary sales is the sales which distributors do with the retailers. So that is sell through. So very important part. So you have retailer. So first of all, you have manufacturing. That is your company, right? So company has, let's say, manufactures 100 units, right? Now there is a distributor. So these 100 units are being sold to distributor. Let's say all of them have been distributed. So 5 to distributor 1, then 10 to distributor 2, whatever, and then total 100 units have been sold to distributor. So that is your primary sales. Primary sales is 100 units. And now these distributor further go to selling to the retailers. So if I go here, so this distributor one has 5 units and he's able to sell, let's say, 4 units. Then this distributor is able to sell 9 units, and so on and so forth. Overall, distributor is able to sell, let's say, 90 out of 100 units. So 90 is the secondary sales, right? So sell through percentage is secondary divided by primary. So how much of what we pushed actually moved? Very important KPI. So if you're working as a sales officer or area sales manager, you're always looking for what is sell through, what is target achievement. And again, target achievement is very straightforward. You will have monthly targets, and you will have to get actual versus targets and understand what is the achievement you have done. Then YOY growth percentage, year on year growth percentage, and so on and so forth. So I won't go in depth right now. So once we build reports, you will get to know what it is. Right. So now we have understood the concept of Power BI. What is Power BI? Understanding the difference between desktop service, this, how to install, then UI tour, then understanding the FMCG concepts like primary sales, secondary sales. Then tertiary sales is again sales which happens from retailer to end customer. And that is not recorded in this particular demo, but this is the concept. Then we have understood this part, and then KPI dictionary as well. Now coming to pivot tables. So I'll just give you the glimpse of it. It will take hardly 2 minutes to understand what pivot tables are and why it is good or bad. And then we will straight away move to Power BI. Right. So if I go to primary sales, you will see here I have date wise, month wise, everything. So I'll just click anywhere in the cell. This is a table, and then I'll click on insert on the top, and then click on pivot table. So once you click on pivot table and then click on OK, I don't want to add this in data model, so that you can ignore. If I click here, and then this pivot table has been created. Now let's say I want to understand what is the achievement ASM wise, let's say. So I will select ASM in rows, and then I'll select the net primary value in values. So you can see over here, and then let me clean this up. Go to home tab again, click on this comma style, and then remove the decimals, right? And then from here, click here, sort this on the basis of descending on net primary value, click on OK. So now what you can see here, we have these many ASMs on the basis of the primary sales they have done. So this is the ranking, you can say. Now Nisha Kulkarni has achieved 9 crores 79 lakhs. Priya Iyer has achieved 66 crores 96 lakhs. And now what is the period? Like when did they achieve? So I can add the date as well. So where's my date? I will add date in filters, and it will show up on the top. And then I can select date, or I can also add month. So I can select a particular month. For example, I want to select, let's say, first. So that is January 2026. So if I select January 2026, so I can see this is the scenario. So Nisha Kulkarni achieved 49 lakhs, Priya achieved 48 lakhs, Anjali Mehta achieved 27 lakhs. So this is the achievement, and I can add, let's say, brand for each ASM. So if I go to brand, I will select over here, and for each ASM I can see brand wise total sales achieved. Now if I want to compare this actuals versus target, so what is the target? And target will come from another table. So that will come from this table. So for each ASM, for each month, I have this target, but then I need to map it. So where is the mapping? So for that, it's like A, you can build data model inside Excel, or B, use XLOOKUP to map this for each month and ASM and category, map and get these values back in primary sales as a new column. So I believe this is a very tedious task, and this is not a scalable model. So in case in future you will have new data coming in, you don't want to build this again and again, right? So it is not scalable. First option was good, data model, but again, when you have option of creating Power BI reports, then why you're going with data model, in fact, right? So this is the reason we will go with Power BI. All right, so enough of understanding basics of pivot tables. That's not the objective of this video. Let's go straight to Power BI. Right, so now we are on Power BI desktop, and I have already given you the basic glimpse of it, how the UI work. So now the first step is to get the data from any of the source. In our case, we will take the data from Excel. So I'll just click the Excel workbook straight away, click here, and then in file path, you can add the link you already have. Otherwise, you can click on browse. And if I click on browse, I already have it in my FMCG Analytics 2026. This is the Excel file, right? So I'll just select that and click on open, and then it should open if I click on next. And now you can see on the left hand side, these are all the sheets inside this Excel file, and I want all of them. So I'll just select calendar, coverage, productivity, distributor, primary, product master. I don't want readme KPI, but it's okay. Let's have it. Secondary sales, targets, everything, right? And then click on load. So we have two options, click on load or click on transform data. So if I click on load, it will load directly in Power BI, and I won't be able to clean. I would be able to clean later on, but first of all, without loading it, I want to clean it first. So we'll click on transform data. So once you click on transform data, then you will automatically go to step number 2, that was going to Power Query to clean and manipulate your data, right? So this is your Power Query. All right, so once you are in Power Query, on the left hand side, you will see all the queries. In between, you will see the table, whichever is selected. And then on right hand side, you will see the query settings. First is property, which is name of the query, and then all the applied steps, right? And on the top, again, in the ribbon, you will see all the options which are available in home. Like, for example, you want to add new source or enter new data or change any details. For example, in this particular queries, you will see advanced editor. This is more like understanding exact code that has been used to fetch that data, right? So we will go step by step. We will understand how we can use all these options, right? So first of all, very straightforward. So we have added readme KPIs, and we don't need this inside our Power BI. So what I'll do is right click and click on enable load. So by default, it is already ticked. That means whenever we close and apply from here, it will automatically add in Power BI. But this is just like a information thing, and I don't want this in my Power BI. So I'll just select this again so that this is disabled, right? So right click on enable load. So now you will see this has been in italic, and right click, you will see this is disabled now. So in order to enable it again, I'll click it there, right? So I'll disable so that we are not having a lot of data which is not required in Power BI anyways. But one thing which is very easy and good in Power Query, so if you have a header in your first row, so you can move it to your headers. So over here, click on use first row as headers. So you will see this is straightforward, and you will see everything, whatever you do here, all the steps would be applied and shown across. So if you go to step 1, so this says the source is the Excel file. In Excel, there are various tables inside it, which are sheets as well. So in step 2 is navigation. For readme KPI, I will have selected table. So I click on navigation, it will go there. And then from there, it will change the data type. So currently it is all ABC123, which is default, which is nothing. Click on change column type. It changes to ABC. ABC means text. And then click on promote headers. This is what we did right now. What it means is, so whatever is the first row, it becomes your header. So click there and then again change type, and it is how it is. So the best thing is, whenever you're doing any changes in Power Query, all the steps would be shown across over here, right? So now coming to primary sales. And we have date, invoice number, all those things. So that's good. So we don't need any particular change over here. And we can see data type is fine. And one thing which is missing is this date shows 123, that is whole number, and actually date is not whole number, this is date. So I'll select date and see it will change to the actual date. So this is good. Same with secondary sales. In month this is fine, but in date again it is 123. So I'll go to change to date data type and it is fine. And for everything else looks good, right? Same with targets. We can see month is good, ASM, category, primary target, and secondary target is good. Coverage productivity, month is fine, zone, state, city, RSM, ASM, SO, outlets, all those things are good. And product master looks good, ABC, ABC is text, 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 text. So we can see all the data types, everything looks good. And again, see in this one, you can see the first row is looking like a header. So what I can do is click there, click on first row as header, and then it shows up on the top. And again, if you feel like something is missing, you don't need to do everything right now because you can change it anyways. And calendar is like, again, a dimension table. And you can see this is also date. So I have changed it over here. This looks fine. This looks fine. Everything else looks fine. So this is month name. So instead we can change it to text and make it Jan, Feb, March instead. Let's see if it works. Otherwise, we will go no. So this doesn't work. So I'll just go back to date. What we can do is replace current. What we can do is go to transform, and then in date, I can make, instead of that, make it month. So you can see this gives me the month number, but I want month name. So instead of 1, I want January. So what I can do is go back to, I can remove this step and then go back again to date, and again in month I can have name of month. So it will actually give the name of the month. So click here, month, name of month. So you can see now it is January. And now if I expand that, it will show me all the months over there, right? So we have everything in place. For now, we are good to go. We can make the changes later on if we need. But right now we have not done any changes apart from data types. So let's close and apply and go to Power BI. So it might take a couple of minutes to load, but generally it is in seconds. So maybe 30 seconds and then you're good to go. So once it is loaded, we will try to create our first visual and let's see how it works. So automatically it is detecting relationships. So that's good. But for now, we will check and go ahead. So let's say I want to go ahead and see my ASM wise primary sales. That's what we saw in pivot, right? So I'll go and select metrics, right? And go here in primary sales and look for ASM in rows. So I've dragged, simple drag in rows, right? And then look for the primary sales. This is my primary sales, and look for columns or look for values instead. So I'll select values, and you can see here for each ASM, I can see the total sales. And the way we did in pivot, I can have a filter. So I can click on slicer and then add a year from calendar. So if I add FY, so it has 3 options: financial year 24-25, 25-26, 26-27. So let's say if I select 25-26, and then you can see nothing changes. And if I change again to 26-27, you will see the values stays the same, nothing. Why? Ideally, whenever I change the financial years, the values should change. It is not changing because these tables, calendar with primary sales or any other tables, these are all not connected. So when it is not connected, so Power BI doesn't know this belongs to which rows in this table, so that it filters. So that's the reason we go to this relationship modeling, and this is where we connect one primary key to another, one column to another for each table so that it's connected, right? But this looks so pretty much straightforward. And then you can add the brands over here. If I from primary sales, add brand under ASM, and then you will see over here, I can expand Anjali Mehta and see for each brand what is my sales, straightforward. And this is all interactive, very beautiful product. All right, so coming back to why this is not connecting. So I'll go to model view and see these are some of the relationships which automatically were built, but we don't need to worry about that for now. So how I work with these kind of tables is, first of all, in the center, have all the fact tables. Ideally, it should be one fact table, but if you have one, two, or three, have all the fact tables in the center, and then all the dimension tables surrounding them, right? So once you have this kind of layout, it is easier for you or any other user to review whatever has been done. So for example, calendar is dimension, so I'll add there. Product is dimension. Coverage productive will come back later on. Targets is fact table. Distributor master is again dimension. And what else? So looks good for now. So for now we have these three dimensions and these three facts. So now what was the first issue? So calendar is not mapped with primary sales. So primary sales has, if I go back to primary sales has date, right? So if I can connect this date with my calendar date, so calendar also has this date, right? So if I go back here, this date has to be connected with this date. So I'll just drag this calendar date into date of primary sales. And then there would be a new pop-up which will show the relationship, and then you can agree if it is fine. So you can see here cardinality is one to many. What it means is, so one of the value in calendar can map to multiple records in this primary sales. And that's true, right? Because for example, on 1st of January 2026, there will be just one record in this table, but on 1st of January 2026, there can be multiple transactions. I mean, multiple distributors will purchase, multiple things will happen, right? So there will be multiple records. So that is one to many. And if you feel you are creating many to many, that is wrong. This is where you have to stop, because you can't connect fact to fact. You have to connect dimension to fact. And if it is dimension to fact, that will definitely be one to many. So now once you have satisfied with cardinality and cross filter a signal, make this relationship active, click on save. And once you click on save, this relationship has been built. And now if you go back to report view, this should filter. So if I go to 2526, see the data is changing, and you can validate this is all good. Right. So this was pretty much basic, and now we have understood how the things are working inside Power BI. All right, so let's see what we have already done so far. So we have got the data from Excel, and then we reached to Power Query to clean the data. So we have done this part, we have done this part, and then we came straight into Power BI, where we connected the tables to create a data model. So we have done this as well. And then now we will reach to creating some DAX formulas. So in order to achieve this, we will also have one more step. So first of all, let's complete all the things. So we have done pivot tables, we have understood is it good or bad. In get data, we have got the data from Excel, we have explained the navigations. So if you have multiple sheets, how to select them, you can understand what's the difference between transform data versus load. And in Power Query, we have understood, so I gave the tour on Power Query, so this is good, this is done. How to set the data types has been explained. So understanding how to use first row as headers, that has been explained. This is still remaining, so we have not done these so far. And then once we were satisfied, we clicked on close and apply. That's how we reached to Power BI. So we will come back to these parts as well. All right, so once we did that, then we went to model, where we understood fact versus dimension. And now that would be the next stage. We will rename the tables, and we will create the different sections for fact as well as dimension, so that we understand how it's happening. And then we build the relationships. This is something which we'll do later on. And we now understood what is the relationship like one to many, single versus both directions. And then active versus inactive, it is very straightforward. So when we by default create active, that means that relationship will work. Inactive means it is there in the system, but it won't behave like a relationship. So it's like it's not there, right? And then we are still yet to do these parts. So now my next step would be going to Power Query. So I'll go here in this section. And then in this section, I have multiple tables. I rename them and then create sections for fact table and then for dimension so that it is more cleaner and we understand what's happening. All right, so let's go back to Power Query. So this is Power BI, right? And then if I click on transform data, so it will redirect me to Power Query. Main objective here is to organize these queries into 2 folders so that we are able to understand what's happening. So first of all, the primary sales, secondary sales, these are all fact tables. So I'll just right click on primary sales, click on move to group, new group, and the group name would be fact tables. Let's say we'll define complete. So click on OK. Description is not mandatory. So now we have one of the tables in fact tables. I can drag secondary inside fact table. Similarly, targets again in fact table. And then I'll again create a new group, which would be dimension tables. So product master, for example, is a dimension. So I'll right click, move to group and click on new group. And then I'll mention dimension table, right? Or making it plural. So let me right click again, rename this group name and make it dimension tables. All right, so we have product master, again, add distributor master, add dimension, calendar. So now changing these names of the tables to make it easier. So I'll right click this, rename to fact primary, right? Similarly, make it fact secondary. Right click, and again we can rename this from here as well, from the right hand side. So if I select the text and I will say fact target, and then it will be changed. So it is easier for us to understand. Again, for this product master, I'll say dimension, dim is fine, dim product, right? This is my distributor, so dim distributor, and then dim calendar, right? So we have 3 dimensions and 3 fact tables for now. And what is coverage productivity? So this is month wise, zone wise, state wise. So this is again fact, right? So we will rename this as fact coverage productivity, right? And then I can drag this again in the fact table. So now we have 4 fact tables and 3 dimension tables, and this is in other query because we didn't group this in any other group, so that's fine. We don't need to have this table anyways. So I'll again close and apply, and these table names should change over here, and this will be easier for us because now we can understand what is fact table, what is dimension. You can see over here things are changed, and if you go to model, all these 3 are fact, all these 3 are dimension, right? And then this is also fact, we understood, and I can map this later on. So now we have understood this part. So now, for example, I want to create a chart. For example, I want to create line chart for primary versus secondary month wise. So first of all, from calendar, I want to have month name in my x-axis, so it will be on x-axis. And from primary, I will have primary sales, so that is net primary, that will be y-axis. And again, from secondary, I want to have secondary sales, so that is secondary value, that will be here, or ideally it should be in the secondary y-axis. So what it shows, so it doesn't go well. So let me see for 25-26, and ideally it should be in the y-axis. Is it not mapped? Let me see primary, secondary versus calendar. So we have primary on the basis of date. So this secondary table is not mapped with the calendar. See, so that's the reason it's not mapped, and that's the reason I was thinking what's happening. So this is the real debug understanding if your model is not correct, you won't be able to get your visuals, right? So if I go back here and see my date, so this date should map with the date in the secondary, and it is one too many. That's good. And click on save, and this should work. If I go back here, see, this is great. And if I go to previous financial year, because it has all the months, so you can see. And now you will see all the months which are not in the right format, because I want to have right sequence. So what I can do is I can see from here, sort this by month name. And now you can see it is still not sorted because it's on the basis of the alphabet. So if I go back to the calendar and I'm taking this month, right? So I can sort this on month number. So click here, sort this on the basis of month number, right? So click here. All right, so once we have sorted this table on the basis of the month number, we can go back and you can see this visual. Now it has been sorted, but this is sorted on the other way around. So I'll go to three dots again, sort by, sort ascending. So now you can see the month has been sorted: January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. So now you can see for each month how the primary versus secondary sales happen. And now this is kind of a dummy data, so it is exactly replicated over there, but you might see the difference in actual scenario, right? So now we have understood this part, and let's create some other visuals and then make it beautiful so that it looks how we should look like. Right now, right, coming back to our 5 stages, so we have already worked on get data, then we have worked on Power Query, then we created our star schema model, and now we have to work on our DAX to get some formulas. So now I'll just tick mark whatever we have covered. We have covered fact versus dimension tables. We have worked on one-to-many relationship, model view tour, then active versus inactive, and then these things are remaining. Now the next section, very important section, is DAX foundations. So this is where you understand how to create calculated columns or measures, what is row context versus filter context, how to create your first measure, all those things. So this is a very important section. All right, so let's go back to Power BI. So as you can see here, I want to create a measure to get the primary sales. First option is I'll just have my data card. Data card is this, and now have my primary sales, which is the net primary value. I'll add in the add data in this value, and this will give me 65.85 million. This is correct. But now if you want to change this into, let's say, in CR, this is currently in millions, you want to change it in CR, which is crores. How to do that? Because this is a column in a table, so you can't modify. And even if you can modify, then the original column will be changed, and you don't want that. And now for that, you click on home button, and on the right hand side you'll see new measure. So click on new measure, and then there will be a measure, or you can say formula box over here, right? So here you will type in primary sales. This is your measure, so equal to sum of your primary sales. And where is your primary sales column? So it looks like this is your primary, fact primary, net primary value, right? So you have to select this. So I'll again go here and select this, and bracket closed. So what it does is it will do the sum of all the values inside this column for whatever the filter has been selected. So for example, I add this again. Where is my formula, which is primary? I can search by that, primary sales, and you can see the measure shows like calculator in front. And let me add that. So now you can see it is exactly same, and this is what we want, right? So now this is a measure. You can change all the things from here, all the formatting or whatever you feel like. And then again, if you want this format to be different to the primary sales in any other, so you can modify this itself, right? So if I go here and then go to the format and go to cards, or you can select a particular one, which is the primary sales, and then go to, instead go to call out, and in this card select primary sales, and in value you can make the changes over here. For example, I want display in thousands, so you can see now instead of millions, now you can see it is in thousands. If you want in, let's say, billions, it will show in billions. You want to have no units, so it will give you exact, and then you want to remove the decimals, keep it 0, and you can have it exactly like that, right? So this is how you can make the changes. And if you want to have alignment in center, you can do that, or at the end you can do that, but left aligned is good. And you can change the font or size and everything. So that is something which you can do from here. But yeah, I'll come back to the look and feel, the beautification later on. For now, we are focused on DAX. So I'll just go back to a very important concept. So what is DAX? So let's say you have some numbers in various cells. Let's say we have this, we have these cells. Now, if I want to create a sum of all these records, what I'll do is equal to sum. Oops. So what I'll do is equal to sum bracket and then select all these cells and bracket closed and press enter. So this will give you the sum of all these cells, right? So what it does is it creates a formula, and then whatever cells we include inside this function, it will take a sum of all those cells, right? So, but what DAX does is, DAX never works in cells. So it will not point to A1, A2. DAX will not have that because Power BI doesn't work with that. DAX instead works on columns or tables, right? So this is what we will try to understand how it works. So let's say you have a table. So this is column 1, then we have column 2 now, and column 1 is, let's say, sales, right? Now I say that can you calculate the total sales, total sales. So total sales will be in this using Excel, it will be sum of all these like this, sum and bracket like this. But when we are in Power BI, we will say calculate is equal to, like, is equal to sum. Sum is a function in DAX as well. And then what is the column name? So that is column 1, whatever is the column name inside, and then bracket closed. So what it does is it takes all the values. It takes all the values inside the column automatically, right? So for example, there is a filter applied. So let's say this is category 1, this is category 2, this is category 1, this is category 3, right? Now, for this, there is a filter already applied in the dashboard, such as category selected is equal to category 1. So when this sum happens, this sum of column 1 sales, so it will only take sum of category 1, right? So it will take 10 plus 13, 23. So for example, here we do SUMIF, right? So in SUMIF, we take a range and then we apply one criteria, right? So in criteria, it is category is equal to cat1. So it will take some range of all those and then select only 10 plus 13, 23, right? So that's the only difference. And if I go here, this is one of the PDF that I created for DAX. So if you go to chapter 1, it is what DAX is and where it lives. So it will tell you that it works only on columns and tables, and there is no pointer towards a particular cell or something. And there are 3 things that you can create with DAX. Very important part: calculated columns, measures, and calculated tables. So if you see, the most important use case would be measures, in my opinion, but sometimes we do create calculated columns and calculate tables as well. So if you go back to Power BI, if I go to table, and let's say if I go to dimension column calendar, and now if I create a new column here, click on new column, so it will again give me the formula and I can create a column. So let's say I want to create let's say month equal to month, and date is date of calendar, right? Bracket closed, and press enter. So, okay, so it's already there, so I can rename month underscore and press enter. So it will give you the month number, which is 7 and whatever, and this we already have, right? So we can create columns like this, and now we can right click and delete as well. We don't need this, so I'm deleting. So what I'm trying to explain is we can create the new columns using DAX. Similarly, now we will try to create measure, which is the most important part, and that's why I'm here to explain you DAX. So for that, click new measure, not column, click on new measure. And let's say we try to create primary sales, secondary sales, all those measures. So I will say primary sales, it will be equal to sum of my primary sales. So primary sales value is already there in fact table primary, and the column name is net primary value. So I will select primary value, bracket close, and press enter. Similarly, let me create new measure, which is secondary sales equal to sum of secondary underscore value, bracket closed. So now we have created two measures, very simple measures, which is used using sum, right? So now I'll add those. So first of all, I'll add card from the build. Very easy, just click there, it will automatically come here, and select the primary sales, select secondary sales. So now it will automatically give you primary sales is 65 million, secondary sales is 74 million. Now if you change the financial year, the values should change, right? And now if you select, for example, from here, select Annapurna Atta, so these primary and secondary values should change. Why secondary sales did not change? So if I select Chamak detergent, so primary sales is changing, secondary is not changing. So that's a problem. So that is a data model problem if that is required. So if I go back to table view and go to my secondary sales, which is fact secondary, and now if you see over here, do I have the brand? So I do have, so everything is here. So what's the challenge? So if I go back, this is connected to SKU code, which is good, and this is also connected, and this is connected. So there are three, so connection is there. What can be other issue? So here ASM. All right, so the biggest challenge here is if you see these two, so it is coming from fact primary, which is wrong. So whenever we add the rows, it should come from dimension. So these should come from here. So what happens is, so I am trying to connect this with the brand column of fact primary, which is not required. So instead over here, I will add brand from my dimension product. So instead of that, I'll select this. And if you see here, I'll remove this and add dim product. And similarly, ASM should come from some other. But if you select this one, Annapurna Atta, now see data is changing, right? But again, the value is not correct because ASM is coming from primary. So instead, for now, I'll remove ASM. And now if you see Annapurna, so 2.49 is primary, secondary is 2.69, Nimbu soap is 6.18 primary, 7.14 million secondary. So things are working here, and that is good. And now, so you have understood the basics of DAX, how you can create, and similarly we can create other formulas. For example, if I go back to Excel, so if you see here, we created primary sales, secondary sales. Now we can create sell through percent, which is secondary divided by primary. So if I go here and inside dim calendar itself, for now I create new measure, and that is sell through, which is equal to divide. So whenever we are creating numerator divide by denominator, we can use function which is divide. And so now when we clicked on divide, it will give you the Parameter 1 is numerator, parameter 2 is denominator, and in square brackets it's always optional, so you can provide alternate result here. So numerator is secondary sales that we created, comma, primary sales, which is denominator, comma, if this is indefinite. For example, primary sales is 0, so we don't want the answer to give error or infinity. So whenever that's the case, if it is error, so give me 0, right? Bracket close and press enter. So now I can add sell through in this itself, right? So sell through should be in percentages. So I can click on percentage, right? And decimal is 0. All right, so that is 116%. So what it says is, so if I come here, sell through is how much of what we push actually moved. It is, so it says moved more than what we made. So it's not like, because in financial year 26-27, the primary sales is 6.18, secondary is more than primary. That's the reason sell through is 116, which is good. I mean, secondary sell through is good. That's good. Now we can create one more measure here. For that, I will need to create another measure, that is target sales. So if I go back to target, fact target, so we have month, ASM, category, primary target, secondary target, right? So I'll create a primary target measure. So again, in calendar, create new measure. So target primary equal to sum of target primary and bracket closed. So this is target. Now if I want to calculate the target achievement, so target achievement percentage, that would be divide. So what is the achievement? That is the primary sales. And what is the target? That is target primary, comma 0 in case there is an error. All right, bracket closed. And this should be in percentage, so I can add it as a percentage. Now if I want to add that in the header, so that can be like this. So it says target achieved is 1.67%. So why is that? So now if I want to add the target over here, so I will add target. Okay, so this is again a model issue. So you can see over here, for each brand, I'm getting the target as the same, right? So it is not working on brand right now. Why is that? So if I go back here and look for fact target, so you can see the primary target does not work on brand. So there is no target based on brand. So target is only on month level, ASM level, or category level, right? So if you want to work on that, so instead of brand, you need to have category. So category from dim product. So this is how you want to understand what is your grain, and that's how you can work. And again, that's the challenge. So that means there is a data model problem here. So if I come here, fact target, it is not connected. So if you see, a category should map to the product category, and then it should be one to many. So what it says is, in fact target, it will have multiple categories. In dim product, it will also have multiple categories, because in dim product, the smallest level is the brand. So it is based on brand. Oh, sorry, smallest is SKU. So SKU is the lowest level, and that's how it works. And we don't have SKU in target, so that is a challenge. So how we can work on this bit? So if you see here, I have SKU code, then category. So what we can do in our case, to keep it simple, Right now we can make it many to many, but that's not the case. We have to create a supporting table, that is a bridging table between dim product and fact target. And that is something which you will learn once you start from beginning level. You try to create this complete Power BI report and then move towards creating bridging table. And of course, that is the right way. So once you create that, so this will map to dim product and this table will map to fact target, and then that's how it will work. Right, for now I'll create a many to many between category just to see how it works. So that's fine, but you need to be sure why you're using many to many. Ideally it is not suggested, and in best case scenarios in production we never use many to many. All right, so now you will see data changed and it is all working, right? So if you go to your target and you can add the target achieved over here. So you will see for each category what is the target achievement, and similarly you can have brand and other things now. So if you want to add brand, so you can add brand, remove category, for example, you will see everything is working. So now we have everything for us to create the report. The best part is to drag and drop, create some visuals, make it beauty, the way the business users would like to see. All right. So first of all, to get that through, we will use Claude, that is AI. AI will be used to understand the wireframe. Wireframe is a design, the layout you want in your Power BI report. All right. So first of all, let me tell you why we are doing this. So we always create a wireframe. Wireframe means like a architecture, like how the report should look like, because when you start creating, you might create anything and then customer will come back to you that, hey, this is not what I was expecting. So get your expectations straight just at one go. So 6-7 years ago, what we used to do was create a report on page with all the visuals, what 3-4 visuals on top, 3-4 visuals on bottom will come, and then share across with customers. They will say, hey, this is good and bad, and then you modify, and then you start building the report after that. But now then Figma came in, then various other tools came in, then we used to create diagrams and share across. And now with in the age of AI, you can use Claude. So with Claude, you can just mention, so this is a prompt which I use and I can share with you. So I'll just copy paste and share this with you in all those resources. So what this does is it gives you HTML, and this HTML is a wireframe for us. So it will give you page 1, how it should look like. So what I want is 5 data cards. So these are all data cards, right? So if you remember, we already created a primary sales data card, secondary sales data card, sell through. So we want to create, so we have already also created target achievement. We need to create now year-on-year growth percentage versus last year. And then we can create this line chart. We can create this donut chart, target versus achievement gauge. So this is just like a template, the way we can create. This is the column chart and then top 10 distributors. Similarly, page 2 can look like this, page 3 can look like this. So we will try to use this as a backbone of our report, right, as a structure. So if you go back to Power BI, and let me open this in separate window so that we can refer this, and I'll share this with you. I'll tell ChatGPT that this is a FMCG Sales Analytics data set and this is what I want. So can you give me some wireframes for some ideation, right? So if I go to ChatGPT, and this is what it gave me, right? So if you see on the top, and this one is one report, and then this is another report, product, and this is the distributor analytics report. So we will try to create all these 3 and let's try to replicate that, and that is pretty much straightforward. It should not be a challenge. All right, so what I asked ChatGPT, just for your information, so if I go back on the top. So I just asked, I have FMCG Sales Analytics data. Can you suggest some wireframes for Power BI reports? One page would be product analytics, another would be distributor analytics, and main page would be executive summary board showing product, distributor, city, state wise, growth, degrowth, etc. Right? So it gave me some wireframe, but then I wanted to be them in images. So I just asked create images for that. So once it created images, so if I scroll down further, give me images, this is what it gave me, right? So we will try to replicate that, and let's go ahead. We have this, right? We also need to have one more data card, which is year-on-year growth. And for year-on-year growth, that is time intelligence, and that's where things get tricky, and we need to create a measure for that. So let me show you that. So for year-on-year growth, we want to compare this year's sale versus last year's sale for the same period. So if we are in the month of July, and whichever month has been passed until this financial year, we have to compare that time period versus last year. So in order to get year-on-year, we need to calculate sales last year for the same period. So what I'll do is I'll click again on three dots, click on new measure, and I can mention sales. And in our case, we can say primary sales last year. So LY for last year. And then this would be calculate. So we will calculate the sales for this year, that is primary sales, comma, and here we will apply a filter. So what we are saying is calculate this value for a particular filter. So filter would be same period last year, and date can be in the calendar table date, right? Bracket closed. So what I'm saying is whatever is the period right now, for the same period last year, calculate the sales. So that will be the last year, right? So now we have primary sales, we have primary sales last year, we can calculate year on year. So we can create a new formula, year on year percentage growth, right? So that would be divide. So what will be the numerator? Numerator would be the difference. So this year minus last year. So primary sales minus primary sales last year, right? So this is my numerator. And denominator would be last year sales, primary sales last year, comma 0. All right. So once we have this, we can drag our year-on-year growth over here, and then add this into percentages. So you can say there is a growth of 4% versus last year, right? And you can change the FYI, and whoa, so for financial year 25-26, it says the growth of 388%. So maybe there was no sale or less sale in financial year 24-25, and we started later. So that's the reason. So that's one of the anomaly, or you can try to improve that as well if you feel like, just to make sure. Anyways, so now we have this. Let me change the style of this filter, and let's try to make it beautiful. And let's go to properties. Okay, so we are on slicer. Okay, so slicer settings, go to drop down and remove the header, right? So now you will only see the selected financial year, and now need to increase the font. Let's say make it 80. Yeah, maybe 20. Yeah, 20 looks decent, and make it shorter like this. So now we have a financial year selector, and from here you can select. Let me have a line, or maybe box, insert a box from shapes. All right, so this will become my header, and let me send it backwards, right? And now you can see this is still there. For this one, let me change the shape is rectangle, that's fine. Fill should be maybe this one. Now, for this, let's have golden with 60% of transparency. All right. So now we have this. Right. We can change the font color. So maybe white or black is decent for now, and make it bold and change to CK bold. Yep. And make it 28 or 22 is good. Yep. So now we have financial year. We can change that later on. That's fine. And for the background again, change the background color to, oops, that's a lot. So you need to play around what kind of background, what kind of look and feel you want. So now you can see here, looks to be starting as a dashboard, and now you can have this. And if you go here, you will see this is coming from net primary value. So it should not come from there. It should come from the DAX measures. So you can have primary sales like this, and again removing the secondary value from here, adding from the measure, right? And now just to make it cleaner, so you can see there are various measures, but I want to have all the measures in a separate table. So what I'll do is, first of all, I'll click on this model view, click on new table, and create a dedicated measure table. So it can be underscore measure underscore, so that it comes on the top. Otherwise there is no purpose of having underscore, right? So once you have this, go to all the measures. So if you have primary sales, so now you can have this home table changed from dim calendar to the newly created measure table. So that is underscore measure. So it will go in underscore measure. So you will see this has been updated here. So now instead of having like changing again and again for different measures, you can drag them in this table. So like this, and then drag secondary, then sell through, then target primary, then YOY percentage growth, and you can see, and you can hide the column. And now if you go here, you will have all the measures in one table, which looks better and it's easier for you to navigate. All right, so now we have this, right? So you can change the way you want it. And then you also have the metrics table. So metrics table shows you, brand wise the total sales. So sales should come from measure. So I can remove all them. So primary sales, then secondary sales. You can also have primary sales last year to compare. So you can see primary sales for Annapurna Atta this year is 2 crores 49 lakhs, or this is 24 lakhs instead, and last year it was 20 lakhs, right? And you can also add the difference. And then, for example, you want to add the difference, new measure. So let's say growth is equal to primary sales minus primary sales last year. That's it. So this will be a delta for us. So if I add the delta in between, and now you can see this is the growth. And now for growth, I can have the conditional formatting done. So if you go here, instead of going there, right click and go to conditional format, go to the font colors. The font colors, if it is positive, that means the growth is there. So instead of gradient, I want rules. If it is greater than equal to number, less than equal to number, then less than equal to, let's say, a very big number. So anything which is greater than 0 is green. So more colors go to green, darker green. And new rule, if it is greater than equal to minus a very big number, that is number, and less than 0 number, that is red. For now, this is good. And you will see these values have changed. If it is positive, that is green, negative, that is red. And you can have more icons and all those things. For example, if you right click and in conditional formatting, you want to have icons. For the same concept, you can have the icons as well. Remove the middle one if it is greater than 0 and less than number. So that is green. And if it is negative and less than equal to 0 number, that is red. So you can also have these kind of icons, right? So it looks decent. So instantly I can say, hey, so there are two brands, Chatpata Namkeen and Reshmi shampoo, which degrew, right, versus last year. So this is a straightaway analysis, and you can't do this very easily in Excel. I mean, you can, but it won't be scalable the way you want, right? And then you have target achievements, all those things, right? So now, if I minimize this, now we have few visuals. Let me add one more visual. So let me add month-wise sales. So for that, I want to have, let's say, stacked column chart. And now for month, I'll calculate from dim calendar. So month name. And in primary sales, I want to have primary sales measure, that is in y-axis. And from the format, I will go to data labels. From data labels, if you toggle it on, you will see the values over here. And if you maximize, it is in millions. So you can change the value for this and make it display as none, for example, and decimal place is 0. In primary sales, if you want commas over there, so add towards your comma to have 1,000 separators. So that is way cleaner, right? And if you want to make it in thousands or something, so you can change the display units as is. Also, easier way is that we are dealing in crores if we are having in INR. So you can change your primary sales, divide this by 7 zeros, for example, and then you will see everything changes. So this is all in crores now, right? If it is 7 zeros. So you will see primary sales is 6.58. This is 6.58, right? So this is 6.58 CR, and you can add the crores as well. So if you go to primary sales and from here, go to primary sales, and in format, you can change that. Go to custom and make the changes, right? So that is straightforward. If I go here, for now, let's keep it simple like this. So you will see here 6.58 CR, right? But for now, I don't want that. Let me go to decimal, and in primary sales, don't divide by that. So let's keep it in millions, right? But that is a possibility, and that's how the companies in India would operate. They want to have big numbers in CR and smaller numbers in the way it is. All right, so now we have these charts, and let's add one more chart to understand. So currently we have distributors, products. So we already have products. So let's try to have distributor wise analysis. So here we will have the bar chart, simple stack bar chart, and we will capture distributors from distributor. So we can have distributor name, and we don't want month name. So if you see over here, so you have all the distributors with the values primary, and you can also have secondary sales. And instead of the stack bar chart, you can have a different chart where you can have clustered bar chart. You can have both of them together. So if you maximize it, you can see for each distributor, you can have both the values, primary as well as secondary. And also you can have one more line to show red or green, whichever has grown or degrown, or what is the gap between primary and secondary for each distributor, so that you can target directly, right? And on top, you can have one text that says, so now you have this. So you can add FMCG Sales Dashboard, for example, and font size is 36 or maybe 54, right? So this is how you can make the report. This is very simple, very straightforward, drag and drop, having some of the formulas. The most important bit, in my opinion, was working on data model. If I go here, understanding how the tables are connected, how you want to connect which column to which, and if you are cleaning the data in Power Query, how you can do that. So these are the most important challenges, and that's how you can build your first page like this. All right, so now we have this image from ChatGPT, right? And then first of all, we'll start with executive summary. We'll try to create the revenue trend, month-wise lines. So this is current year, this is previous year. We have dots as well. So this looks pretty. And then we'll start in creating the Indian map. And after that, we will create some donut charts. As you can see here, revenue by category, revenue by distributor, and then we can create a scatter plot as well. So these are some of the things we will create just now, and then go ahead with the other two pages. All right, so quickly minimize this and go to the Power BI report. Let me duplicate this for clarity and make this as executive summary, right? And now we already have a line chart, but this is between primary sales and secondary sales. So select this and remove secondary sales, and from here have primary sales last year. Select here and you will see over here. So this doesn't look very pretty because there is a declining line. Looks like it's a degrowth for last year, but it is what it is. So we are in financial year 26-27 and we have data for April, May, June, and the financial year starts at April in India. So we just have 3 months, and I can add data labels. So what you have to do is, once you select the visual, then you have to select this if it is not selected. Once you have selected, inside format panel, just scroll down, and then if you scroll down, you will see data label. So toggle it on and you will see all the labels coming in, and you can make the changes how you want to show it, right? And to have the markers on these lines, same in format, go to markers and then maybe apply the marker to all the series. For both the series, toggle it on and you will see these dots. So you can make the changes. So dots looks good, and size is 7, my favorite number in this aspect. And then color, maybe this one, and transparency is slightly higher. So you will see something like this. Right now you can change the legends text. So this is primary sales LY, to make it more cleaner, right? So you can change over here as well. So this is current year, and for primary sales last year we can say last year, right? So this is more cleaner. So if you expand this, you will see the legends looks better, current year, last year. You can show the legends on the top as well, depending how you want to show. You will have data labels, all good, and we have month-wise revenue coming up, right? So this is how it is. We can also just change one more thing. So in title, so if you are unable to find, you can search title to make it faster. So by month name, so you can say by month, that's it. And on the top in text, we can say revenue, and also we can take reference from the images. It was revenue trend monthly, so we can easily just write revenue trend, right? So we can make the changes the way we feel like, but right now it looks fine. In legend, I can go there and position to top left, and it will look like this. Or if you want bottom or top right, this is how it looks like. I mean, depends on how you want to show, but keep it consistent. So I'll keep top left, and style is marker. Circle default is fine. Alright, so now we will create a new visual, that is the map visual for India map. And let me create a new page for that, and let me drag the visual. So for example, you will see here there are multiple options. There would be 4 options in fact. So one is this shaped map, so that is one option. Second is the simple map, and third is filled map, and then there is Azure map as well, which is not available over here. So total there are 4 maps. For example, if you go to this map, which is called simple map, and then you can add the location over here, then you can add legends and bubble size. For example, let me try. So add the primary sales in bubble, and let's add state in the location. So it will give you something like this. So for each state, the bubbles, so the bigger is the bubble, more is the sales over there, right? So this is how you can have, and you can pretty much make the changes of the style. This is fine. Padding, it's all good. Map settings, make it, let's say, Arial, so you will see the difference. Or you don't want to show the labels, remove the labels. And then if you want to keep it, let's say, grayscale, and something like this is something which you can do. But if you see over here, oh, it doesn't show here, but it shows here, this visual type is retiring soon, right? So upgrade this map. So you don't need to use that. And now if you upgrade that, it redirected me to some other map, right? So you can do that, but there is a better way. So better way is using the shape map. So if I select shape map, and you will see the difference. So shape map, first of all, add the state in location. And now if you see in the settings of the map settings of shape map, current default is USA, and now you can change from here to India. So if you see, by default there is no other there is no India in this. It will be Australia, Brazil, Canada, France, Germany, Ireland, all those countries, but there is no India. So click on custom map, and this is where you need to either upload the file or add a URL. So pretty much I have the URL for now, so we can use URL. Otherwise you can upload the file as well. So it should be JSON. And so coming back to that, so there's this GitHub link. So I just went to ChatGPT and asked, I want to have JSON for Indian map, Indian states, right? So it gave me this link, and it has topo JSON and geo JSON. In our case, we need geo JSON because we don't want to go beyond state. So topo JSON will give you the borders for the districts, cities as well. So if you have in-depth analysis, for example, you want to do analysis, complete analysis for a particular state, go for topo JSON. And you can go to India Maps netlify.app as well. You can explore a particular topology. For example, you want to explore Rajasthan, click on Rajasthan, and it will give you the complete district wise state, and then you can download this from here, right? So this is again a possibility, but I'll go back, and from here I'll click on GeoJSON, and it should give me a new link, and this is the link I was talking about. Oops. So copy this and go back to your Power BI, and in URL enter this, press OK. And then in projections, I always keep orthographic. That's a better way, in my opinion. So once you do that, you expand this, you will see the complete India map, and whatever is highlighted is shown wherever the sales are. And if you go back here, let me add the sales, primary sales in the tooltip. Let me add last year sales as well. Let me add secondary sales as well. Then you can see all those things, right? Now I can also add percentage growth, but it won't show up here because there is no uh, financial year filter or month filter or anything else applied, right? So if I go here now, it will give you 268%, but there is no baseline, so it won't give you a right answer. So but this is what we need, so I'll keep it as of now. Now a very important aspect is to make it more user friendly, to make it more understandable, using legends. So in legend I want to bifurcate all the zones. So if a zonal manager comes in, he wants to see the states whatever is inside him, so that is the way through. And then I'll add zone in legend, so you'll see the color changes. So you will see over here, south is in purple, west is in orange, north is in dark blue, and east is in light blue. So you can change the colors, you can change the legends, it can go on the top as well. But this is how you can bifurcate, and you can also add the state names in as well. So coming back to the report on this visual, make it more user friendly. You can have auto zoom in, so you can go ahead that zoom on selection as well. If you toggle it on, there will be option for users to zoom, right? And in legends I want to keep it in top left, so I'll just drag that over here. Title is not required for here, but if I go back to colors, if you want to change the colors, you can do that. For now, let's keep it as is, and this is all good. And for title, let me just look for title over here. So I'll type in state wise revenue in bracket. I want to add plus last year revenue plus percentage growth. You can add this the way you feel like later on as well. So I have added this, and then in subtitle I don't want to add anything for now, right? So let's keep it as is. So this is something looking better. And one more thing which I was thinking to explain, or otherwise we can skip for now and then go ahead later on. Yeah, so another thing was, so if you hover here, you will see all the things coming up, right? And interestingly, now it doesn't show you the tooltip. So if I expand here, if I go to Rajasthan, I am not able to see the data. So was it because of zone? Yes. So when I included the legend zone, then tooltips are not directly working for that particular state. So there is this glitch which I shared across with the Microsoft as well. But for now, let's keep this legend over here. And then if you see, this is showing up. And one more thing, what we can do, let me add a slicer. So coming from page here, let me copy this and paste over here, and we can sync, that's fine. So if you see over here, now for this financial year, data is different, and you can see if I add a table, let's say I want to add this. So just see the data changing over here. So currently Annapurna Atta is 2 crores 49 lakhs. If I select a particular state, so data should change, right? So it changed. So if I select a particular state, so the data will change accordingly. And this is the beauty of it, right? And let me see if I have, so label color is dark, so that's fine. Alright, so this is fine. So we'll come back to other parts, but the main point is, if you select a particular state, everything changes, and this is what we want, and we can add this in the sidebars as well. Alright, so now we have created this visual as well to some extent. Alright, so now that we have created the map visual, let's add that on this table. on this page itself. So if I go back to this one, copy this and go back to executive summary, paste it over here. So now we have to decide the chronology, how we want to have these visuals. So first of all, this primary and secondary sales doesn't look nice because there are so long vertical lines, or sorry, horizontal lines. It doesn't make sense. It should be something like this. For now, I'm deleting this, and this is good, but it is too big for now. So let's keep something like this, right? Or we can make it up to this, right? So now we have some more space. So if I add from here, we can add, we can make these changes later on as well. So keeping up aligned, nice and easy. So we can have one more visual over here. So copy this, Control C, Control V, and drag it to the bottom and align, right? So now you can see over here, so we have predominantly 5 data cards and 4 + 1 5 visuals. Of course, we need to make this changed. For example, now if I go back to the image, we are missing the top performing states or bottom performing states. We can do this and that, or we can do revenue by category. So what we want is the most important question. So what is the question the stakeholders are looking for? There's no right or wrong. I mean, we can put all of them. We can put this, we can put this, we can put this, we can put this, but we should not put everything. If we are putting everything, I mean, everything will go on toss, right? In data cards, we can put most of the things like what is the revenue, volume sold, gross margins. So total distributors we have, total active cities, all those things, we can do that very easy. But more the information, less is the consumption. That's what you have to understand. Minimalism is the key. Keep the things that are required by the stakeholders. So in our case, let's say they are looking for the sales growth, just primary sales, not secondary. They are looking for primary, how my total revenue is growing or degrowing, each category, each state, all those things, right? So now we have done this part. So in this one, you can see brand wise this year sales. So I can just add this is your current year, or you can just mention current sales, and this is previous or previous year. So if you want to keep it smaller, you can write PY sales, and for current sales we can write CY, which is current year sales, right? And growth is, of course, it's pretty much straightforward. And we also had secondary sales over here. We can keep it as is if you want, but we want to keep it more aligned with the hindsight, like they want to have primary sales analysis, right? So we have this, and also we can include other things apart from brand. So if you go to dim product, you will have category as well. So you can have category. So category should be on the top. It can be food. Inside food, there can be multiple brands, right? So if you click beverages, you have multiple brands over there, right? You can also add SKU inside the brand. So now if you want to expand this, so you can see for beverages, we have total growth. Okay, so that's interesting. See, so total beverages, there is a degrowth, right? But if you expand beverages, you can see Refresho juices was in growth, that is green, there is a growth. But Tulsi tea, there was a big degrowth. So because of Tulsi tea, there is a big chunk of degrowth in beverages. And for Tulsi tea, we can further see which was the major reason. So 250 mg was the major reason for the degrowth, right? And similarly, we can do various other analysis. All right, so now we have this understanding, right? So what else we can add? So we can add various other matrices, for example, units per case, PTS, PTR, pack, all those things. There are so many things, but I mean, if you're trying to do everything, it will be a very long video. And anyways, I have covered all these things in the workshop that is going to happen in September, so you can check that out as well. All right, so once we are done with this part, let's add for store. So in this one, instead of product, we can add store, and store is nothing like distributor or something. So you can go for distributors. So for example, option 1 is, if we go to distributors, so there are these many distributors in various zones, and you can look for all those things. Second option is, if you go to secondary sales, you have distributor code, then you have channel, right? And then you have various other things which you already have covered. So we can include channel as well, right? So if you include channel over here, so again, so ideally there should be a different dimension for channel. So for example, if you want to create a new channel, so I can go to transform data. Otherwise it won't work. So the modeling part is such, the dimension is coming from secondary, and if you're connecting channels which are in the secondary table with the primary sales, it won't work, right? So what we can do is, from the secondary we can extract the channels. So what we can do is click on reference and drag that in the dimensions and look for the channel, or you can just click on choose columns from the top and click on go to column and look for channel. It's there. And what else do you want? Nothing else. So just click there and remove other columns, right? And then right click and click on remove duplicates. So it will give you all those channels which are there inside, and you can mention this as dim channel, right? So now you have dimensions for that, and close and apply. So once you close and apply, it will load and it will create as a separate dimension, and that you can then connect with the secondary sales. So now if I go to the data model, and if I go to the dim channel, where is it? It's here. So you can see it is connected to fact secondary. Now if I go here and go to channel and select instead of brand, so as you can see here, everything else is not working because these are all primary, right? But this is secondary, so it is working, right? So what you can do is, instead of having the metrics, we can have the donut chart for this one and remove primary growth, just need secondary sales. So now you can see this one gives me the large chunk, like 47% is coming from general trade, then orange is modern trade, so 20% is coming from modern trade, and remaining is from wholesale as well as e-commerce. Straightforward, right? So this is how you can easily see the things which are coming in. And same with the primary sales. So primary sales is not connected to this, right? So that's fine. So you don't need to go ahead with that part. So for now, let's do state-wise over here. So what we can do is copy paste this. I just want to remove this part and add this over here, right? And here I want to have state from the primary. So for each state, under each state, I want to have further things like city, under each city I want to just look for category as well, or look for ASM if you want, right? And then you can see and then for this you need to remove secondary sales. And if you expand here, you will see for each state, you will see what is the current sales, previous year sales, growth, target, and you can sort this on the basis of growth. So for example, if I go back to report and go to my three dots, sort by growth, and I want to sort on the basis of descending, so ascending, so that I can see the reds first. So if you ascend, now you can see the biggest degrowth was in Odisha, which was 3,54,000. And if you expand Odisha, you will see Bhubaneswar was the only option, and then Santosh Behra, there was a degrowth for him, right? So this is how you can do. And then if you select Gujarat, there are two cities. In Surat there is again one ASM, Ahmedabad has one ASM. And if you expand, let's say Maharashtra, which is big state, Mumbai has just one ASM, Pune also has one ASM, all those things. And you can also add SO if we have the data for that. So you can see, for example, if you expand further, you can see everyone has multiple layers, and you can play around with this part. So if you just click on expand all down one level, and you can see everything at one go. So this is how intense analysis you can do the way you want to do, right? So for now, if I remove all these bits, so this already looks neat and tidy. Of course, so many other things are to be done here, but this is good, and you can expand this to look like this. All right, so now we are done with executive summary. We will go ahead with page number 2, which is product analysis. All right, so let's go ahead with page number 2, which is product analytics. So let me add a new page, and let me rename this as product, or better to just copy this, duplicate, and first of all remove the page 2 and rename this as product analysis. All right, so in product analysis, what we have to do is predominantly it would be just product, what product we are doing, number of products sold, a number of categories we have, number of brands we have, so which brand is doing good, which category is doing good or bad, all those things, all kind of analysis related to product. So first of all, we need to have the various KPIs like number of SKUs sold, number of products, all those things. So first of all, we will go ahead and create measure. So click on new measure from the right hand side, and in the measure formula window, let's have number of SKUs. So number of SKUs would be distinct count of SKUs in the dim product code, right? So this will be number of SKUs. So I can add that straight away. Yeah, so number of SKUs sold was 18, and if I remove the filter, it will be distinct again is 18. So whatever we have in inventory was sold in 26-27 already. All right, so now number of units sold, number of units sold. So this will be different, this can't be distinct, so we have to sum all the units which have been sold, right? So sum of units, and units will come from the fact primary, right? So you can say this one and bracket closed, and now you can add that as well. So first of all, removing the primary sales, secondary sales, sell through, target achieved, all those things, we don't want this, right? So we can remove this as well. And now number of units sold. Yeah, so number of SKUs are 18, number of units sold is 2 million. That's amazing, right? So in 2 millions, let me change the value in callout. So you have to go to callout for value change. In cards, I have to go for units sold, and in value go for none, and no display in it, and from the top click on the comma so that we can have 1000 separator. So we have somewhere around 24 lakh 9,000 units sold, and now we have number of units sold. So what is the average selling price? So average selling price can come from here. Average selling price is equal to divide. So what is the total primary sales divided by the unit sold? Easy, right? Comma 0 if there is an error, so it should fall back to 0. All right, so now we have average selling price. We can add that in our data KPIs, and we can make it percentage. Oh no, this is the average, right? So it should not be percentage. So average selling price is 27 rupees, right? So we have number of units sold, number of SKUs, average selling price. What else? Number of brands. So let's have a new measure. Number of brands is distinct count of brand from dim product. Similarly, number of categories is equal to distinct count of categories in dim product, bracket closed. So let me add these two as well. Alright, so now you have added a number of SKUs, number of units sold, average selling price, number of brands, number of categories. So we have fairly basic idea of what's happening over there. So first one is, I'll remove this chart. I don't want this. So this chart is good. I want to keep this over here and drag it towards here. So what I want is, for each SKU, I want this analysis. So category, brand, SKU. So that wise we have current year sales, previous year sales, growth percentage, all those things. So that is good. So this is something which is great. Now second is, I want to have month wise number of units sold for each month, what's happening, right? Irrespective of whatever the filter is applied. So I want to have the bar chart. So it should be column chart. So column chart, and I will have months. And then in y-axis, I want to have units. So you will see currently it is selected as 26-27. So it is showing me just 3 months. What I can do is, from format, go to format and then go to edit interaction. Click on edit interaction. When I click on this filter, I don't want this filter to work on this visual, right? So from here, instead of using this, I want to make it not filter. So click here. So it will not work, right? So this is how you can change the interactions. I can remove this map. So here, now I have for each month, but I need to bifurcate that by year as well in x-axis. So now it will show, okay, so month should be below. So now it will show you exact analysis. So if you expand here, so for each data point that we have, it will give you month-wise output, right? So now you can change two things. So first is add the data labels from here. So add the data labels. So that's easy. So from here you can go to position, orientation can be whatever you feel like. Value is in none. So that can be like this. So that's good. At least we are able to see what's happening. And one thing which I really like is to do, so keeping all the month names up to 3 characters. So January should be trimmed to JAN, Jan, so that it's easier, it's consistent. So you can see over here, this doesn't look consistent, right? November, December, September are bigger, May is so small. So what we can do is we can trim that and go to transform data. You have to go to dim calendar and look for that particular column. So column is month name. So what you can do is right click and duplicate this column. So once you duplicate and right click on the duplicated column, and from here you need to split this column and by number of characters is fine. So I want to have first 3 characters, so first 3 once as far as less as possible, right? So now it is done. I can remove this column for now, and this will become my month name short, right? And then now you can close this, so close and apply. And now instead of using the complete full month names, use this particular column. So go to your data and look for month name short, and then replace that with month name, and voila. So this is how you can see. And now the sorting has been compromised. So what you can do is go back there in dim calendar, for month name short as well, sort by the month number, and then you should be able to see the right representation. So what you have to do is again sort this on the basis of sort on the basis of year month short, and if you modify expand that, now you can see Jan, Feb, March. Now this looks so clean, right? And this looks better the way you want to see. And now you can see some of the anomalies, or you can see some of the months where there was a good growth, and you can also have a line, average line, so that you can see which were the good months for you. And yeah, so that's something which is interesting. So now let me remove this state part, and this can be changed to category. So coming from product category in legend, so this is the primary sales. Yeah, so this is how you can have the data. So now you have data cards, you have category wise sales, you have number of units sold for each month, then you have category wise donut chart. What else can we have? If you go back to the chat GPT image, so it's given these kind of revenues, like KPIs, revenue, volume, all those things. Then you have revenue by category. You can have this kind of chart as well if you go back to Power BI and go to the decomposition tree, or not decomposition, you can go for the tree map. So here you can add the category. First of all, sales, add the category. But I'm not a fan of this particular visual, but just in case you want to see how it works. Yep. And then if you add the formatting for the data labels, you can turn it on. You can also add more, like brands. Then you can expand, and then it will show you the complete. So for example, you can say by category brand. In brand, beverages, Tulsi is the number 1. It is giving you 16 millions, and then 7 millions, then 13 millions, and then 7. But I don't like this representation, so I'm not a fan. But in case you want, you can do that. And then if you go back again to ChatGPT, so now we have already created this kind of report. If you want to have top 10, so very easy way is if you go back to this one and select the filter from the view. If you go to view and select filters, and from here you will look for primary sales, so which is the CY sales, and which is greater less than no. What we want is we want top 10 products, right? So we have to look for that product or category the way you want. So let's say we want to have top 10 categories, but we already have less than 10 categories. That would make more sense when it is SKU level. For example, if you copy this, and instead of category or brand having there, so it is SKU level. So now you will see there are 18 SKUs showing all the data, but I want top 5. So if it is sorted, so I just want top 5 SKUs. So how can I do that? So for this visual, go to this visual in the product, which is SKU. Just look for filter type top 10, and I want to have top 5, let's say, and by primary sales and click on apply. So you will see this has been filtered to show you just top 5 and top 5 as well. This shows there are some of them SKUs which are degrowth, in degrowth. So you can see tea 250 grams was top selling product, but it was a degrowth. So this is a big challenge for the company. When your hero products are degrowing, then there is a very different story. So you need to understand how you can build that particular story for yourself, right? We can add this as well, right? And then similarly, one last thing which we can do is, if you go back here, creating something like scatter plot. So scatter plot, we already have average selling price and we have the number of units. So let's go ahead. All right, so let's try to create one last visual for product analysis, and then we can move on to the next page. So in this one, we will try to create a scatter plot, and for scatter plot, you will see this is the icon with the dots. So click here, expand this, and you can see there is a playing field for you. Now, if you see on the right hand side, there are some of the fields that you need to fill: values, x-axis, y-axis, legends. All these are not mandatory. Values, x-axis, y-axis are like mandatory, and then you can add the size as well as legend. Now, x-axis, let's say I want to do understanding of the average selling price for each SKU and how much is being sold, right? So that I can understand if my pricing is correct or not. So let's say I want to have average selling price, and that would be on x-axis, right? So now we have one dot over there, and now I want to have the units sold. So you can have the number of units sold on your y-axis. So if you go here, go to y-axis, so you will still see there's one dot, but now there is mapping done between these two. When you will have the values added, once you add the values, it will pop up all across. So it can add on the basis of SKUs. So if you add SKU from your DIM product, and you will see all the dots will come up. So you can see all the dots are showing up over here, right? So what it means is, for example, this dot means for this particular SKU, and this SKU is detergent. The pricing is somewhere around 348 average selling price, and number of units sold is 6,000-ish, very low, right? There is one unit product which is shampoo sachet. Number of units sold is 15 lakhs and the average selling price is 1.46. So that's like skewing our data set, right? And this is how the reality is in general for FMCG companies as well, right? So now if you, instead of SKU you want to change, you can replace this field as well. Now very important part is, if you can make some differences using the colors, that will be wonderful. So add something in legend would be useful. So for example, you want to understand according to the brand, just add brand in the legend and you will see the different colors. So you can see, for example, the light green is over here. So these two are same brand, and you can see this is Tulsi tea brand and this is Tulsi tea brand, but this is tea 500 grams and this SKU is tea 250 grams. It's easier for us to understand. And now you can lastly add the size as well, so that you can see where the sales is coming from. So add the primary sales over there, and you can see it is there. And now you can make some changes to make it more user friendly. Markers can be changed. So for all the series, if you want to make changes from circular to, let's say, the squares, you can do that, or you want to make it cross, you can do that, or you want to do with the triangles, you can do that. And range can be auto, or you can make a particular range so that it's easier. And size multiplier, currently it's -10, and you want to make it either way it can work, so depending on how you want to do. And rotation, I don't want that. Auto fit markers, so this is how you can play around and see how you want to play and utilize that, right? So you can also have symmetry shading and radial line, very interesting, but yeah, maybe for the next time. So once you are able to get this kind of visual, then we can say we have achieved some parts of it. And let's just tidy it up and then move on to the next page. Let me add this one. over here. Yeah, but generally we already have this kind of analysis over here, so ideally we should not have this. The only reason I showed this was to show you top 5 how to create that, so I'll just remove this. Right, so let's keep it over here, and this is over here. You can also have one more chart if you feel like. So this is by category, right? So if you want to add this is primary sales by category, add this by brand, for example. So add brand, and then you can see this is on the basis of brand. So you have multiple brands. You can see over here, green one is Tulsi Tea, is showing by 16 million, which is the major chunk, 23%, and second best is Swad Masala, which is 20% round off. All right, so this is how we have created page number 2, and now let's go ahead and create page number 3. Alright, so let us review what we have done so far before we move ahead with the page number 3. So if we see on section number 7, DAX foundations, we completed that. We understood calculated column versus measure. So this is something which is not covered, but it is fairly straightforward, but we can cover that later on. We have done this sum, we have done calculate, how to use that, and then we created measures table as well, so that we can add all the measures inside that particular table. So when we talk about core measures, we created primary sales, secondary sales, totals, units, sell through percentage. So we did not do that as of now. We did that. We did not do scheme spend. We didn't work on pipelines. We understood divide. And what it means is, so instead of using the function divide, we can use straight away this. So we can say, for example, we can mention numerator divided by denominator. So it's like primary sales divided by secondary sales. Straightforward, the way we do in maths. But it's not great, because if denominator is 0, then it will become infinity, and that's not good for the business data point, right? So this is what it is, and we have done, and this is something which we'll cover later on. All right, so now in this one we have covered just a couple of them. We have covered Y growth percentage, and similarly MOM would be same, month on month, and how to add dynamic lakh or crore data card measure. So that's something which I will cover at the end. And now if we come to page 1, so KPI cards are done. We have worked on all these kind of things. And then in page number 2, we have worked on clustering. So comparing all those things. So we didn't, okay, so page 2 was product for us. So this is something else. So don't need to worry about this part. So what we have done is we have understood the product analysis. And third page now that we'll do is the distributor analysis and sales analysis. So that will be mix of page 2 and page 3 according to this, right? And finally at the end we will just show you the final touches and what are the best practices, and I'll share one PDF that you should follow whenever you are working on any project, and then that will be the end of this video. All right, so let's go ahead with page number 3. Alright, so now coming to the page 3, which will include the distributor analysis and ASM SO analysis, which is employee analysis. So what we can do is we can right click to product analysis just to keep the template and not recreate again and again, and deleting the page 2 which is blank, and renaming this duplicate page to, let's say, distributor ASM analysis. We can change the page name as you want, but for now let's keep this as is. All right, so let me remove these 4 visuals which I don't need, and this as well I don't need, but I will use metrics visual, so let's keep it as is. And now to start with, we can create ASM wise sales analysis. So we already have current year sales, previous year sales, growth, secondary sales, target, etc, etc. Just need to remove, instead of category we will have ASM, so remove category, brand, SKU, and add ASM. All right, so now this is important. So which ASM will you add? So if you have ASM in fact primary, you have ASM in fact secondary, you have in facts target. For example, you take ASM from primary. So let's take this and you will see the difference. So what happens is the values for current year sales shows up correctly, which is all ASM wise. Just look at previous year. This is also correct because it is all driven by that particular sheet. Look at the secondary sales and look at the target. This should not be correct, and you can see secondary, it's all same because it's not mapped, right? So ideally we should have another dimension for the employees, ASO or sales officer, area sales manager, zonal sales manager. So have a complete employee hierarchy or sales team hierarchy as one dimension so that you can map that to various other models, right? So what we will do is, before creating any further report, we will go back and go to transform data and create a dimension. And this is what we also covered in the list of all the things that we should do, and then I skipped that particular step because I wanted to show that later on, right? So now you can go to dim distributor. You have the list of the map. You have mapping as in RSM, ASM, SO. So what you'll do is, again, in dim distributor, go to reference, and over here look for RSM, ASM and SO, these three, and right click, remove other columns, right? So very important step now is to click and remove duplicates. So it has removed the duplicates now. So for each RSM there would be multiple records, and for each ASM there would be multiple records, but for each SO there should be just one record. So if you see here, Rohit Sharma, it should not repeat again, right? So here SO is the lowest level, and then comes ASM, then comes RSM. That's the hierarchy, right? And under RSM there would be multiple ASMs and SO, so that's the reason that this will be duplicated. So we can make this as dim sales team for now, right? And then close and apply. So once this has been applied, we'll go back to data model and map some of them so that it is all working. So you will see here, this is all distorted, right? So this is what we have to make the changes in. So if you go here, where is my dim sales team? I'll drag it over here. My best way of doing it is like keeping all the fact tables in aligned, like in vertical way. So, and having all the dimensions on the top towards right, like this. This is my favorite stuff, so it makes it easier for me to understand how the data is flowing, and ideally map them on the basis of how the data is flowing. So I mean, place them according to that for convenience. For the timing, this is good. So what I am doing here is sales team is connected to your as fact secondary on the basis of sales officer, and here also on the basis of sales officer. And how about the targets? So targets are on ASM level, so I can connect this to dim sales ASM. All right, so now it will give you many to many, but this is one of the challenge that you will have to face. So let's keep it straightforward. Otherwise, there is another way which I mentioned. So you can use DAX function, which is treat as, and then you don't have to worry about this many to many. But for simplicity, for just this demo, we will keep many to many. Okay, so it says there are ambiguous path between fact primary and fact target, and then fact primary to this. So we just need to remove that. So it is sales officer to sales officer. So if you go here, this ASM now should come from dim sales team. We'll come back to that problem later on. First of all, let's wind this up, and I'll come here, remove that, go back here. So now you will see for each ASM my current year sales, previous year sales, growth, secondary sales, target, all are coming up. So this is good for now, but again, so this mapping has to be done correctly with the fact targets, but yeah, we will come back to that. So here you can see which ASM is doing well, which one is not doing well. So Momita Das and Rakesh Bhatt and Santosh Behra, these three are not doing good. We can also add the state where they are. So you can add from, that's interesting. So otherwise you should have added the state as well. That would have been easier. So right, so you can see one ASM Anjali Mehta is taking care of Delhi and UP. So you can see the growth for both of them. So all good, all those things. So you can see the target achievements and all those stuff. This looks odd, so we can go back and see how the targets are there. And anyways, this is a dummy data, so not necessarily it will be like 80% achieved, 70% achieved, 90% achieved, so all those things. All right, so one thing, so once we have done this part, let's try to create a scatter plot for understanding the growth, right? All right, so we can also create a scatter plot for each RSM, understanding how they are performing. So if I go to scatter plot again and expand this, so I just want to have the primary sales first of all. So I'll just grab primary sales, then I will have the percentage growth, that is YOY growth, that is in y-axis. So again, that is dot. Now the verification would be on the base of ASM. So I want to have ASM from dim sales team. So you will see all the sales guys are there. And then I want to have again bifurcation on the primary sales should be inside the size, so that it shows me the on the base of size. And then legend should be on the basis of the manager of ASM, that is RSM. So if I go to dim sales team and look for RSM and add there, so now you can see here, and then let me add the data labels as well. So once you add the labels and go back, so you will see for the RSM there are two ASM, Deepak Singh and Anjali Mehta, and you can see Deepak Singh is fairly doing good growth, but there is very small primary sales. So ideally, I mean, when you have low primary sales, growth becomes slightly easier as compared to when you have higher primary sales. So for example, in this case, Nisha Kumari has very high primary sales, so growth is not necessary that it will be really good. But the concerning part is Rakesh Bhatt, for example, you will see primary sales was somewhere around 27 lakhs. There is a degrowth of 14%, so that is a challenge, right? So you can see all these kind of things, and again you can play around, and if you go to this values, instead of ASM you can change it to some other field and see the further analysis, right? So it is very flexible, and then you can play around with that as well. One more thing which I wanted to show here was the heat map. So when you're doing analysis, so if I go here, oops, copy paste, so I want to do analysis for each ASM wise sales growth, right? So instead of all these columns, I'll remove everything. I just want to keep growth, and for each month, so I will have month name in the columns. So you will have for each month the sales that has happened, right? I can expand that. Right now you can see the sales growth, degrowth, what's happening around. Now I want to have heat map on that. So you will have conditional map, background. I want to just keep this as is. So whenever there is a low number, it should be towards the red. When there is high value, there should be towards the blue, and in between it should be a mix of both, right? Once you do that, it will show you like this. Now you can add that in these as well. So if I go back to growth, conditional formatting, background color, so instead of value only apply to both, and then it will work. But when you're applying to both, when you're adding total, then you need to enter the minimum value and maximum value. So minimum can be anything, just to fill that, and then press OK. So now you will have the data, and now that you had min max as that, it will give you everything as the red color, which is vague, but this is how it works, because you have started from the very big number. so it will behave like that. So in general, ideally whenever we are doing heat maps, we are not doing for both. So the best case is just for values, and even better when you're not having metrics. So if you remove, let's say, state from here, right, and then go to the conditional formatting and go for just values and remove this. So we have to remove this again so that we can add again. So now once you have the new conditional formatting and for values only, so this is good, and press OK. So this is, in my opinion, very good use case. So here you can instantly see these are very small numbers, and this is a very big number without me thinking, okay, this is 25 lakhs, 2 lakhs, 2 crores or something. So here you can see the percentage growth as well. So currently this is growth, or we can have year-on-year growth as well. So instead of that, let's add year-on-year growth and then go to conditional formatting, background, and press OK. So here you will see, okay, Deepak Singh, there was a good growth here, very good. But generally, who is degrowing? Generally, Rakesh Bhatt, he has degrown in every 3 months. Santosh has degrown in 2 months, but a good comeback, right? So you can see month-wise growth, degrowth, and if you remove the financial year from here, and then you can see all other things, but it won't give you right answers because there is no background. So it is taking all the data. So whenever you're using FY 26-27, so it takes FY 26-27 as base, and the percentage is compared this versus last year, right? If you remove this, so there is no comparison. So you should always use the filters. And one more thing which we did not add in any other page was adding more filters. For example, if you see in product or executive, you will see only financial year has been added, and this is fine, so this is not required. So now we can add new filters. So let's add one more filter. For example, I want to add filter for state. So I will go here, go to state, and look for the distributor, and over here I can have a drag down or go for slicer setting for the drop down and improve the slicer header to maybe 14 and font to my favorite, say gay UE semi bold, and values maybe 18, and go for again semi bold or maybe bold this time, and go for border, not for this one. I will go for background. So currently background for values is not required, this is not required, so I'll remove the include the background like this, and go for transparency somewhere around 70%, and go for the visual border, include the visual border, and go for, let's say, 2 width for example, and go for darker one and add it over here. And then you can change the background for the value. So if you go to background for value, which is over here, and make it white, so you'll see this is how it shows. I mean, you can play around, this is just an example and I just quickly did for 1 minute, and this is how you can create, right? And same if you just select this one and click on format paint on the top and select this FY, it should change this as well. Oops, it is tricky when you are just doing that. For click here, oops, okay, yeah, and then you can have this as well. Similarly, if you want to add more, copy paste and have, let's say, brand, and then you have brand as well. So you can select brand and all the data will change for that particular brand. Look for a particular state and everything will look for that particular state. It is very good and I love Power BI for this reason. Interactivity is the key, because if you are looking for static reports, you have many other options. Interaction is what I feel makes it more intuitive and good for Power business users, right? So one last visual I want to create here is, so currently we have worked on ASM wise sales, right? We have understood the heat map, then we have understood the growth. Then one last thing is ASM scorecard. Yes. So again, I'll use metrics for now. And for ASM, I'll remove the state. And then over here, I want to add all these KPIs. Total outlets, all those things. So for that, I will create number of outlets. So I will do sum of outlets and bracket closed. All right, so this is wrong. Why? So if you go back here and go to that particular table, so that is productivity conversions, coverage productivity. So if you see over here, total outlets is 400. So if you see over here, is this repeating? No. So yes, if I select Ahmedabad, for example. All right. So in West Gujarat, Ahmedabad for Sanjay Patil, Nisha for Kunal. Now on 1st of October, total outlets were 317. Let me sort this. On 1st of June, 376. 1st of May, 299. And for each month, there are different number of outlets. It's not like there are thousands of outlets and on that particular month, you're visiting these outlets, this outlet. No. So in that month, you visited 376. In other month, you visited 299. In any other month, you visit 372. So you don't have the total number of outlets which are there in that particular route. So if you look for city Ahmedabad, so if you look for beat plans, and if you look for each beat, how many number of units, number of outlets are there, that information is not available. So all you can do is you can do the analysis of percentages, or you can do out of these outlets, these many outlets were built, so that percentage. So all those kind of analysis you can do, not number of total outlets. You can say, okay, in Ahmedabad for that particular month, total number of outlets visited 376. If you do want to do on the basis of month basis, that's great. But if you want to do on a complete horizon, then it won't give you right answers, right? So this is something which sometimes ChatGPT can also not tell you. This is where your business knowledge comes in. That's why AI will replace you if you don't have business context as well. So business context is mandatory, plus knowing how to use AI for developing Power BI reports or for developing other things. So it's like a mix of both. So now if I come back here, so I'll not do number of outlets, I will not add that, but instead you can add some KPIs like total percentage productivity. For example, I'll just select that, new measure. Oh, I think we already created, but if I do sum of outlets, that's the only way we can do. So for now, so number of outlets build divided by total, right? So this divided by sum of outlets build, total outlets. So this was the reason which I showed you. So we have divided, but why it's not the best practice, because if this is 0, then it will become infinity. So what I'll do is go to front, divide, and then instead of that make comma, and at the end comma 0, and press enter. So we need to close this bracket and we are good to go. So we have this bracket closed, then we have this bracket closed, so we have extra bracket here. So this is how we can have, and then if you want to have the percentage outlet build on the top, for example, and you will have this as percentage. So you will see it is 70%. So 70% of the outlets were built, right? Similarly, you can create other KPIs for productivity. So planned were 725, productive calls were 521. So this divided by that, and that will give you percentages. So this is how we can build the remaining pieces of this particular page. So let's go back to our Notion page and see what all we have done. So we have covered this part. We have covered page 1, we have covered page 2, now we have covered page 3 as well. In terms of interactivity, this is important because we need to know how the slicers work, how sync slicers work across, cross filtering works again to pages, and this reminds me of very important and very easy part. If you go to the insert and go to the buttons and click here, so there is an option of navigator, so it will give you page navigator. So if you click here, very easily it gave you the page navigator. And if you remove everything else, just see this is giving you all the pages which we have. So page 3 is irrelevant, so it is there, important, that's fine. Page 1 is there, but let me hide that. Page 3 is fine. So if you go back here, so now you will see page 3 executive summary, page 1 product analysis, distributor. So we have total 5 pages. So I can go to product analysis from here, right? And from so if I have that navigation panel at every page, so I can just toggle from each page to other like a complete web app, right? Very, very convenient. And similarly, if you go again to insert in buttons, you have apply all slicers, clear all slicers, or blank. So these are very important buttons, I would say, that can be used. So for example, if I use clear slicers, right, and then this will work as, so whenever this filter is there, for example, I have clicked Bihar. If I click on clear slicers, see again it cleared everything. So if I have financial 25-26, state as Delhi, brand as Chatpata Namkeen, and now you will see everything is there. If I click on clear all slices, see everything becomes all. So this is great. And similarly, if you click on the apply all slices, so you can just make the changes, and once you click there, it will apply all the slicers. So it is very interesting, and that's how we can make it more interactive, right? And then tooltips, something there. So if you hover on the top, it should show as a tooltip, right? So what we can do is we can create a tooltip page. So if I click on new page and go to the settings of this page, go to settings in page information, or rather it should be in canvas setting, and type. So in type you have so many options. Click on tooltip, click on tooltip, so it will become like a tooltip. And here just create a report, just to show you. I will have this for each brand sales. Yep. And now if you go back here to product analysis, or you can say in executive summary, go to this state over here. So currently if you hover here, nothing is shown, right? Now if you go to this visual and look for tooltip and toggle it on, and go to this tooltip, and in actions, in page is your page 2, is it? One. Yep. So if you see here, because we didn't rename that, so that was confusing. So if you see page 2, rename this to tooltip XX for now. And if you go back to executive summary and over here, so currently you will see the tooltip here, right? So you can make it beautiful, and this is how you can see the tooltip. And over here in tooltips report type, and it again automatically from page 2 it made it tooltip XX, right? So this is how you can make things prettier in Power BI. All right, so we are done with this part, and in this one, I'll skip for part two, and we will work on how we can make it more beautiful, how to use AI to make it more intrigue and text rich, all those things. So we will work on that, and then finally, row level security is very important. So if you're working with sales data, but if you're a business user, you don't need to worry about this. But if you're learning how to create Power BI report, then understanding row level security, and that comes in modeling. And if you click over here, manage role as and view as, you can start from here as well. If you click on manage roles, click on new roles, and from here you can set up a new role. For example, you can set a role for RSM, for ASM. So if ASM is selected, ASM cannot see any other data apart from his data. So I've already created a dedicated report video on how to create row level security, and that is very important. So you can watch that as well. I'll share that across with you. So once you are done with that, and that will become your complete Power BI report. Alright, so finally, when you want to publish it, so you can publish it from here. So once you click on publish, it will ask you for which workspace you want to add in. There would be list of workspaces. You will select a particular workspace, and then it will be published over there. And how it looks like, I'll just show you right away. Alright, so as you can see, now we are on app.powerbi.com. If you see over here, the URL, it will show you experience as Power BI. You can toggle it on off from here to switch to Fabric, but Power BI is good enough for now. So what is workspaces? So if you see on the left hand side in navigation, workspaces is the place where you create different workspaces to publish your Power BI reports, to work on different data flows and everything, right? So when you create a new workspace, for example, if I click on new workspace, you will have to name the workspace name, description, assigning the domain, all those things. And then over here, so any license that is available, what license you want to apply, Power BI Pro or Premium per user, or embed is not enabled right now, but if you want that. And if you are looking for Fabric, then you can look for Fabric trial as well, or template apps. So this is what you can set up as, and then once this this workspace is set up, you can publish those reports on desktop into that workspace, and it will work. And once it is there, you can set up the refresh rates, how many times it should refresh, what's the frequency, all those things. So this is how it will complete. Like first you will go from data sources, so it can be Excel. From data sources, it will be enabled inside Power Query through data flow Gen 2 or Gen 1 if it is old system, but it should be in Gen 2 ideally. So once you have data in there, you can clean or transform all those things. Once you're happy with the data, you can load that in Power BI, and you can set up your semantic model. Once it is set up, then you can play around with your visuals, and then once the reports are done with the DAX and everything, then you can publish and you can share across with your business users. And then of course, before that, the guardrails, that would be row level security and other security stuff that you need to take care of. So this was the complete Power BI report end to end. And in my opinion, you don't have to learn everything now with the age of AI, but you need to know what things are, how these things used to be done, because AI can predominantly do 80% of what I explained you today. But going forward, it won't be that easy. I mean, you can't just say, hey, connect with Power BI, just create reports, and it is time consuming. I have tested a lot many times, and it consumes so many tokens with Claude, or if you're working with Copilot. So in my opinion, if you are in Power BI journey, you need to know basics. You need to understand DAX, you need to understand data modeling, you need to understand how to create star schema, you need to understand how to work on security. It is the most important part. And then visuals are the key, because if you have worked on everything but visuals are bad, or it is looking like Claude generated, or it is AI generated, so it won't be nice, right? Because in business enterprise era, you can't show that, okay, this is Claude generated, because it should be more personalized. You should have brand themes to be enabled. So for that matter of fact, you will have markdown files, all those things. So that is the key. So once you have done with that, and then you can build all kind of reports. All right, so I hope this video was really helpful. It took me a lot of time, and taking your time for creating the tutorials is not easy. Please do subscribe, share across with your friends if you really like these kind of videos. Next month I'll be working on the complete workshop, and that will be intensive. So this was like a demo kind of thing where I'm sharing you a glimpse of how to create this and that. But workshop will include end to end how to go from beginners to advanced. So this was predominantly beginner level, so whatever you did here until end is all beginner, but you have to move from here to another level, how to connect to different data sources. So once you are connected with different data sources, how to clean and transform nicely. So that is something which is very tricky. And after that, how to create visuals, so high impact visuals, performance, all those things will be very important. So if you're interested, you can share your request, and then I can tag you along in those workshops. All good. Thanks a lot for watching this video.